This is chapter 23 of Uta Haggen's Respect for Acting. Chapter 23 is titled Circumstances. It begins with a definition of the word circumstance. 1. A condition, fact, or event determining the occurrence of another fact or event. 2. An essential condition, a primary qualification of a fact or event, an accessory condition. 3. The conditions environing and affecting a person or agent. 4. Accompanying or surrounding detail, especially fullness of detail. The circumstances given by the author of the play must be dug out of each word he has set down. They can determine a condition or condition our conflicts, can supply our motivations, and specify the nature of our actions. They are rarely dealt with sufficiently. The imagination of the actor can't really begin to work until he has found them, filled them in, rounded them out, and extended them fully. Because of the object exercise's work on the immediately preceding circumstances of an event, the conditions of the present which surround the event and the expectations of the circumstances for the immediate future should be a familiar area of exploration and work, and hopefully defining circumstances is already an established work habit. As applied to a play, the obligation to find everything given to you by the author in the stage directions about time and place, as well as in the dialogue of the play or hidden underneath the words of the characters, becomes larger and more difficult. Substituting and particularizing is inherent in every aspect of the work. You have to find not just what happens, but under what circumstances it happens. What circumstances surround your life? At home, at work, at leisure, in love and war? What is the state of your health and mind before you enter the scene? This will make for an understanding of the immediate circumstances and the influence of the actual events and their inevitability. Circumstances which change during the course of the scene must also be taken into consideration, as they might make for a change of the objective and condition the actions. Example, something burns on the stove while you are serving cocktails to your guests, or during an argument with your roommate, you are informed that a bill collector is waiting in the next room, or during a passionate love scene, a storm comes to an end, or a burglar alarm goes off. The search for past and immediate circumstances has to be made, not only for the beginning of the play, but for your life during and between every act and every scene, unless the action on stage is continuous. This is just a side note by your professor. Every time Uta Haggen is saying your or you, it is in reference to the reality of the character, not in reference to the reality of the actor. Okay, I'm continuing with the reading now. Time for the actor is not just the bluntly stated stage direction of 8 p.m. Place means infinitely more than the drawing room. When and where encompass many elements which the untrained actor often sloughs off or answers superficially. Even extensive notes, considered only factually, will bring about a kind of dry, unusable objectivity. Learning to explore and assess time and place subjectively, making total use of them for the benefit of the role, searching for all of their aspects through the soul and senses of the new me to help bring about a chain of actions is a matter of tenacious, prolonged practice. When do I live? In what century, year, season of that year, month of the season, week, day, hour, and finally, what minute leads me into my first action? These questions must encompass everything implied by the century in which I, the character, live, from the cradle to the grave. The consequences of everything implied by the time are the material out of which I will build my, the character's, life. What are my social concepts, government and laws, religion, fashions, appetites and tastes, which come from that time to condition my life? Where does something coming from the given year affect me? How does the season influence me? What does the day itself do to me? What is at stake for me in the minute of the day in which my life begins actively to evolve? The more detailed my questions, the more I can hunt for consequent actions and animate them as if they never had been done before. The more I find subjective identification, the more I will believe that I am alive in that time. The more sources I have to draw on, the more intuitive my responses will be. Another big question, which must be broken down into specifics, is how much time do I, the character, have? Is there time to fulfill my wishes, possibly even to live if I know I'm dying or in great danger? Is there time to finish my work, to prepare for visitors, to get to bed, to go to the bathroom? Time is an active influence on even our smallest daily tasks. Since conflict is the root of drama, whether comedic or tragic, the playwright often presents us with time pressures, and we must learn to make exact use of them. I've got time to kill might also be a force for determining the kind of action. Where do I, the character, live is just as large a question as when. Before I explore the room where the action takes place, I have to ask myself what country, city, village, neighborhood, house I, the character, live. And I must delve into my relationship to all of them. A young man or woman raised in a small New England village will have been influenced by totally different things from those if he or she had grown up on a sprawling ranch in the far west, or in the slums, or in the elegant section of a large city. A ranch in Australia would exert different influences from one in Arizona, as would a Bavarian village as opposed to one in Maine, or a London slum versus one in Chicago. It matters if you or the character's house is like all the others in the neighborhood, or if it is an elegant old brownstone standing alone among huge office buildings, or perhaps a remnant of better days with tenements right and left of it. The task of making everything particular is just as essential for something which is familiar as for that which is unfamiliar. Examine your immediate surroundings. If silk, velvet, and damask are a part of the room, from whose walls Rembrandts and Titans look back at you while a Bach cantata is being played on record, if you walk on lush pile carpets and handle leather-bound volumes, pour tea from Meissen porcelain, pull tapestry bell cords to summon servants, and look through Belgian lace curtains at rolling lawns and landscaped gardens, the character's behavior, will be powerfully and specifically influenced. And it will be influenced differently whether this is your way of life or you come to it as a stranger. Now consider that you are surrounded by cracked and peeling walls and ceilings, have wrinkled pop posters pasted to the walls, walk on bare floorboards, and sit on a rickety stool at an oilcloth-covered table in front of a lumpy burlap-covered studio couch, drinking beer from a can to the accompaniment of the Beatles and a leaky faucet while you look out of the streaked window at a fire escape against a blackened brick wall. If you have truly considered each of these things and made them real to yourself, will the character's behavior, the choice and execution of your actions of the dramatic events of the play, be influenced by these things? Obviously, there should not be the tiniest thing around you which you have failed to make personal or relate to yourself if you want to soar into an exciting new life. Try now to consider all the previous examples for place, The ranch in Australia, the Bavarian village, the London slum, the room with the Rembrandts and the Belgian lace, the room with the pop posters and the bare floorboards, etc. And condition them with the idea of time. First, try 1850, in a blizzard, in February, in the middle of the night. Then, 1900, in a heat wave, in July, at high noon. Then, 1950, on a chilly morning, in April, at Spring's Awakening. Or perhaps, she says 1972, but let's make it current, in 2023, 24, in November, on election eve, during rain. Even if the time is any time, or the place is limbo, you must create specific realities belonging to it, though you must never create a specific reality which might violate the playwright's time or place. The above exercises should make you understand how crucial when and where must become in your preparatory work. Recently, I found my workbook for the role of Martha in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and wherever my notes pertain to time, place, and previous circumstances, I'll share some of them with you. They are, as I wrote them down, in random order. They may seem a little like Joyce's Anna Livia Plurabella. The names George, Nick, Honey, and Daddy are characters in the play. Of course, Edward Albee wrote the play. All other names belong to my personal life and suggest possible substitutions. The equals sign indicates my use of a substitution. The brackets enclose explanatory notes for you, the reader. Here we go. Late Saturday night. Late? As a matter of fact, 2 a.m. End of September. Equals crackly red and yellow and brown leaves. Frosty night? Hot indoors? Edward means it all to be now. The now of that is 1962. The new college term just opened. Booze! Football practice? Did I go this afternoon? Who's the coach? Equals Bradley. Yummy. New semester equals faculty teas, heavy drinking at cocktail parties, equals tension, hysteria from new students. New faculty equals the Johnstons, the Garricks, etc. The party at Daddy's house tonight. A dozen new faculty members. Particularize them, especially meeting with Nick and Honey equals Marion and Dave or Marion and Bill. How did I show off? How much to provoke George or to impress Daddy? I sang Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? I'll bet I read Orlando last week. Orlando is a novel by Virginia Woolf. I braid. When? What about? Boxing? History? Status? We never discuss politics. Were George and I stung? Remember McCarthy? Her brackets, and I don't mean Eugene. Am I aware of new political movements among young faculty members like Nick? Or students? Do I try to participate with them? Cynical, skeptical intellectuals, both George and me. Atheists. Agnostics? Max and Alicia. That equals Max and Alicia. George in the history department equals art history equals Papa's assistants equals power plays like in corporations equals also faculty wives jockeying for position equals Jack S., maybe Ruth. Oh, yes. The house is messy. Pretentiously unpretentious living. Ugh. Scatter rugs equals Professor Alex's house equals books piled sideways on shelves, disorder, and equals unwatered plants. Maybe an instrument lying open or a record player. Yes, Ha ha ha. Open and ready to go, loose records lying around, the Eroica or Missa Solemnis, worn upholstery on good furniture. I think it's an old house, properly antiquated and comfy. Mortgaged? Is it a home? Nope. Make the neighborhood equals. Mix together Adams Street, Lathrop Street, and Walton. Make the campus specific. Equals. Mix up Ithaca, Madison, and Bennington equals Faust. Faust is Professor Albert Faust, which is Uta Haggen's uncle. This town is New Carthage. What was old Carthage? I remember some Roman like Caesar said, Carthage must be destroyed. Edward's symbols. How apt. Too intellectual for me, can't use it. I was born and raised in New Carthage equals Wisconsin High, maybe Randall School. Grew up in Daddy's college president's mansion equals Phil R's house. Did I brag about the mansion? Did I feel lonely there? Did I like somebody else's home better equals Jane MC. Where am I vulnerable to Daddy? When I was little? Now? Vulnerable to George? What areas? Not just age. Make the street equals elms, maples, burnt orange mums, eek. Neighbors equal the W's. They weren't faculty, more conventional. When we come home, George says, shh, the neighbors. Can they hear us making a racket even when we're in the house during the play? Make the rest of the house. Have to work on the bedroom, the kitchen with Nick, the bathroom with Honey. Where do I usually park in the living room? My favorite chair? Are there toys around for our child? Daddy's portrait or photo? Ask Edward if I can use one of Papa. Wow. All right, so that is the end of chapter 23, Circumstances.